G'day reefers, I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Welcome to Aquatica TV. Today's episode is all about my favourite anemone, Stichodactyla gigantea, also known as the Gig Anemone. So the Gig Anemone is definitely my favorite anemone to have in reef aquariums. And we'll talk about the care requirements and what you need to do to have success with these beautiful creatures in your reef tank in just a minute. But I want to talk about, first of all, why I like these anemones so much. Now, the main reason is that they are a really unique looking anemone to have in your tank. They can be quite bright, but I really like the length of the tentacles, the way that they sort of just flow over the scape that they're on, and the fact that the clownfish really love to get right inside them. They're an awesome anemone, but because of their size and because of a number of other things, they're not a particularly easy anemone to keep. So let's start off by talking about the water chemistry that you want to have if you're going to consider keeping a Gig Anemone in your tank. Today we're filming at Reef Redo. Now this aquarium was one that we filmed a few years ago when we actually took the old tank out and replaced everything with a new system. And it's a mixed reef tank that is enjoying some great success. Now the Gig Anemones will do very well with the general water chemistry that you would keep your normal reef aquarium at. So calcium, KH and mag, they're not hugely important because the gigs of course don't have a skeleton, but as long as they're stable and probably most importantly that your nutrient content is low. So keeping your nitrate and your phosphate low is probably the number one thing when it comes to water chemistry with your Gig Anemone. It's also good to have your pH within the range you'd want, sort of 8.1 to 8.4, and your salinity to be nice and stable. Probably the most important thing about keeping Gig Anemones in your reef aquarium are the environmental conditions. So let's talk about exactly what sort of light and flow and tank size you need to keep Gig Anemones successfully. As the name Gigantea indicates, they are a large anemone. Now the one behind me is over 30 centimeters in diameter, but they will get 2 or 3 times this size. So having a large aquarium is important. Now I would suggest a tank of at least 600 liters if you're wanting to keep Gig Anemones. But what is definitely very important is the light and the flow that you have on your aquarium. Now, because they are an anemone, they photosynthesize, so the lighting is important. This tank is run with radions, but any good aquarium lighting system that gives you enough intensity is going to give you success with the Gig Anemones. Flow is also critical. Now with the flow, they like a pulsing flow that's not too harsh. You can generally tell by the way the tentacles will move in the water flow as to how happy they are with the flow. But definitely random pulsing flow that is not too direct or not too constant on them is critical. But definitely the way they react is what you're looking for to know how successful the flow that you're giving them is. So now we'll talk about the ecology of the gigs in your reef aquarium. Gig Anemones will generally integrate well into your reef tank. Now they do enjoy a little bit of feeding, and so I would typically just give them a dedicated feed once or twice a week, just using the same foods that I would feed the fish. They normally will pick up a little bit of fish food throughout the week that has been fed for the fish, that have just sort of wafted into the anemone. The biggest issue that you'll have with them is the fact that as they grow, they will sting more and more corals around them. And that's a great example here at Reef Redo, where we put this anemone in when it was about a third the size a couple of years ago, and it's grown and grown and grown and is stinging very clearly the Dallas behind it. Now, I do find that they are a pretty predictable anemone in terms of where they'll sit in the tank. Some anemones will constantly wander all over the place. Gigs, I generally find, will stay in roughly the same place. They'll often retreat at night time and then come out during the day, but I don't find that they wander too much. Now, occasionally people will report that the gig anemone has eaten one of their fish. I normally find that the fish has died for unrelated reasons and has just ended up wafting into the anemone, which has then consumed it. But there is, of course, one very special interaction that we need to talk about with gig anemones and fish, and that is of gig anemones and the clownfish that they host. The famous symbiotic relationship between the clownfish and the anemone is something that most reefers want to capture in their home aquarium. Now, the unfortunate thing that often happens is people buy their clownfish and they buy their bubble tip anemone or something similar. They get them home, they put them in their tank, and they find that the clownfish has got zero interest in the anemone, and in fact will end up hosting to something stupid like a corallimorph or a leather or something like that. Now, that won't happen if you have a gig in your tank. And in fact, clownfish absolutely love gig anemones. It may take them a couple of days to find them and to get amongst them, but when they do, they get right deep down into the tentacles, like as if it was a big warm doona that they're snuggling up in, and you'll get that iconic look of the clownfish looking up out of their tentacles. And it really is a joyous thing to have in your aquarium, and definitely one of the reasons why I particularly love gig anemones. Hopefully by now you understand exactly why I love gig anemones. In the right tank with the right amount of space, they are an absolutely beautiful feature. Just like here at Reef Redo with this big, beautiful green and purple one with the clowns ducking in and out of them. Also in my display tank at our Wynnum store, we have a beautiful blue one. It's only small, but it will grow as big as this one, of course, and get more and more beautiful as it grows. And that's another advantage of the gigs, is that they live for ages. You can have these anemones in your tank for decades. But that's it for Gallery Aquatica TV for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing.